How high-performing sales teams work. 5 pillars. Or what I wish I knew earlier. When I had my first company, we were 3 salespeople, and we had no idea about sales processes, methodologies, and sales technologies. Later, I worked for a company with, at that time, 12,000 employees, and we grew 30% in terms of annual revenue and also the number of employees. We were about 300 salespeople in our office. So even if you're not that large yet, what lessons can be learned here? I've compiled 5 pillars. Number 1, design a repeatable sales process, which means being crystal clear on who is responsible for what within the sales process, entire sales process, and the handover from one function to another, meaning from marketing to sales to customer service, customer support, customer success. So usually high-performing sales teams, they have very specialized roles. Like within even sales, they have like one team who is responsible for inbound leads and one who's in charge of outbound opportunities. But however you want to define that also in your smaller organization, maybe it needs to be clear who is responsible for what, and then this needs to be systemized. And each team has a KPI. Okay, so everyone does their part in order to hit the overall revenue goal. And actually, if you think this specialization is quite rare, it is not actually. All high-performing sales teams do that, and in other parts of, let's say, the economy, it's quite common. Let's say you're a manufacturing company. Every production process is documented, evaluated, and improved. And for some reason, this rigor doesn't exist that often in sales, and it should. I always wondered why that's the case, but of course, it's very obvious if the production plant is stopping, well, then it's obviously that it's going to cost you a lot of money, as opposed to the hidden cost of not having a clear sales process. Number 2, automating non-value adding tasks so your sales teams can spend more time with customers. This is an obvious one, but this is quite important, which most of the time smaller companies and fast-growing companies get wrong, or they underestimate, let's say, because they think like, oh yeah, well, don't want to make the investment in the technology or whatever, but not realizing that all the manual work that their teams are doing actually equates to 1 or 2 full-time people. Number 3, enforce accountability. And this goes in both ways for your salespeople, but also for the customer. For the salespeople, of course, for forecasting reasons, and for your sales team to guide the customer throughout the sales process. Like, okay, Mr. Customer, I understood what you're trying to achieve. This is what we need to do next. Okay? So you guide them and you explain why this is beneficial also for them, so they can make an educated decision for or against a potential partnership in the shortest time possible required. And of course, you as a salesperson or sales organization can then focus on the most promising customers, okay? And it also has another effect. You start negotiating early in the process, not just when you send out the proposal or afterwards. The negotiation part is like, okay, well, for the next stage, we would need to do this and this and this. So it's work on both ends. And if they want to do this, if they're open to that, then there is a project. If not, there's we don't have 10 minutes to do this, well, then there is no project probably. All right. Next one, number 4, systemize enablement. High-performing sales team have specialized roles, like people who are only in charge of enabling the sales team and making them more, basically helping them close more deals faster with the help of sales operations. But even if you don't have that, the tactics can still be used. And the approach is to not explain the same things over and over again, one-to-one. Meaning, you should listen to the market, let's say, to like what are salespeople commonly get as an objection? What are competitors that coming up over and over again? And how can we facilitate onboarding? Okay, so you want to explain, you want to put the basics that everyone should follow into scalable guides and embed that into the CRM ideally. And then leave the coaching piece to one-on-one. Okay, that is very important. So even if you don't have dedicated sales operations, sales enablement people, you can still like listen to, gather the feedback from sales teams, check your CRM data, and then create these, let's say, scalable enablement resources. Number 5, measure based on activities and results. So you do regular one-on-ones, meaning the sales manager and the sales rep, to provide coaching, guidance, and also to get their feedback, what's working, what's not working. And this is both sides, okay? So if, let's say, why based on activities and results, of course, salespeople should evaluate on the revenue they bring in. But if they are behind on their targets, then let's look at the activities, what they are doing, because they might be spending time on the wrong things, on the wrong customers, and maybe there's also something that another sales rep is doing in the team, a different approach, and has been quite successful, and this success should be replicated to the wider team. So that's why, as you can see from these 5 pillars, it's actually not only a checklist, it's more like a loop. Because all these pillars need to be, let's say, designed, implemented, documented, and constantly reviewed. All right. It's funny, actually. I'm just thinking of a quote right now. Sales teams need to be managed with the rigor of communism and the earning potential of capitalism. It's quite an intriguing quote, I'd say. But again, now you might think, well, I don't have 300 salespeople. But remember, all large organizations started one small. And if you're not disciplined when the amounts are small, you will never become a large organization.